Here we are. Here we are again, back on a Monday night there to talk about all your gardening delights and all your gardening woes. More woes than delights, I'm guessing there. Jessie, how are you doing? Nice to have you back on.
Yeah, really good. Just trying to find my chat. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
Are you full on gardening? Is it all? Are we gardening
I've
or?
had no, not really. It should be. Yesterday I didn't do anything at all. I watched 2 full series, one on Prime and one on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I haven't done that for such a long time. I basically just didn't get out of bed. And yes, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And today I'm editing and on the computer, which is another beautiful sunny day. So
Sometimes though you need them. I do that. I don't stay in bed though, Jess, but I do kind of just think, you know what? It's going to be a dog settee day, and I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I've had a nana nap with Prince there already on the settee. You know what I mean? A good half hour. Nothing wrong with that, Jess. Nothing wrong. It's good for the soul. JB, are you good? Are you well?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you.
Yes.
I'm enjoying the sun. I've been getting out.
Hopefully, you're not like that lazy bitch there, and you're doing some work. Are you good? Are you well?
Yes, very well. Yeah, keeping very, very busy at the allotment and in the back garden as well. We our neighbours just moved actually, and we've had new people move in. But the old neighbours gave us all of their patio furniture. I say us, I mean Jess. Jess is the one who wanted it, not you, Jess. Sorry, my Jess. So I've had to spend quite a lot of time cleaning it up and tidying it, but it is quite nice to have. But it is also huge. It takes up basically our entire patio. You know, like this. The rattan furniture and that. It's very expensive.
That's what we've got. We've got that issue. You know, Melanie bought this thing, and there's like more chairs come with it, and it's a curved thing, and it takes up so much room. Do you know what I mean? British weather, you're kind of in and out with the cushions every bloody minute. So let's hope.
But yeah, so a little bit of reorganizing in the back garden as well, and getting that sort of a little bit tidier now. It's spring and it's not so dreary.
Right, Audrey, how are you? Are you doing well?
Doing very well today, thank you.
Good. Well, it's lovely to have you here as well.
Great
So
to be
before we kind of went on, I said I was going to play like a little quiz game. So I realised the northeast of England has been known for like giving it a garden tool, a strange name right down through history. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of asked ChatGTP. So I'm going to come to JB first. JB, I want the tool, not what the actual does. Can you tell me what a dirt dancer is?
Absolutely not.
Come on.
A dirt dancer.
A dirt dancer.
Maybe like I vote rotavator. That's a good name for a rotavator.
Bear in mind, I says it was an old northeast where rotavators weren't invented in the 18th and 17th and.
Oh, we're talking old. We're talking like
yes.
almost.
I mean,
that
some
could
of
be
them
a
are
plough.
No.
Yes. Yeah,
no.
there you go.
Wow.
It is a hoe.
What I was thinking. I'm serious.
Oh, now
you got to buzz in.
That should be a dirty dancer, not a dirt dancer.
Right, Jess. Are you ready? Can you tell me the tool that is a weed whisk?
A weed whisk.
A weed whisk.
I mean,
Go and get your weed whisk, man. We've got loads to do.
But a weed whisk. Now I would have thought that would have been a hoe, and now the hoe's already been taken. So, a rake.
No.
Good thinking.
Can we guess?
Yes. Anyone for starters? Anybody want to jump in?
Weed whacker, or it's still not old enough?
No. It's not that.
What
I
about
think you call it
scythe?
what do you call it? You don't call it a weed whacker. You guys
don't know
call
what
it
a weed whacker
strimmer.
is.
You guys call it a strimmer.
Don't think they were around in the 1800s,
You're getting close to Audrey.
Oh, well, like a push
Is it a
mower.
scythe?
Well done, Jess. Well done.
Very good.
What is it?
A scythe or a sickle.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not very whisk though, is it?
Yeah, what was the name? Oh, whisk.
A
Yeah.
weed whisk.
I guess you whisk away the weeds.
Right, Audrey.
Yes,
Quick.
You ready?
I guess.
A grub grabber. Hey, lass, get your grub grabber out, are we? There's work to be done here.
Like a
That
weed,
accent might put you off.
like a weed. It's like I got 2 claws at the base that you can stick in and pop a weed out.
No, that's not what I've got written here. I would like the precise tool, please.
Oh, the precise tool.
He's a harsh quizmaster.
Wow.
Gosh,
A grub grabber.
a grabber.
There's a good one in the chat from Chris. That's a pretty good shout.
What's he saying? Let's have a look. I haven't got
A
that.
He
trowel?
reckons it's a trowel.
Oh, good, Chris
very
in the
good.
chat.
Very good.
Yes. There we
Wow.
go. There we go. Basic.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm not like I just
So
think
random.
I can understand if it's a name which does reflect it, but I can't see that a trowel grabs grubs. Like, can you see that?
That's
Grub
Don't
grabber.
mess with the names. Don't mess with the names,
It's
Jess.
like a
Don't
little
complicate, you know
grub
what I mean?
shovel.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like, when you grub stuff out, it's kind of like ripping out, like grubbing stuff out. Have you ever heard that? Is that
No.
a thing? Have I made that up? Maybe I've
I
made
think
that
you've
up.
made it up.
Maybe it's from the 1800s.
I did have quite a few, but I'll keep them for next week as well, and we'll do this. We'll see as an opening.
Wow.
So,
Torture. Absolute torture.
first one is anybody, it's a time of year to start forcing rhubarb. Is anybody going to be doing forcing rhubarb or just looking after the rhubarb this year? Jess?
Normally, yes, but we've got a new rhubarb plant that we planted last autumn. So I'm just going to let it run for the year. Yeah. And our old ones that we did used to quite successfully, do them every year, but it ended up with crown rot. So they had to be shuffled out. And so we got a new one.
Is
So I'm
it
not going
all-
to put it through that stress on its first year.
Is it okay to force the same rhubarb every year, or is it always best to miss it every now and again, or is it?
I think we had 3 crowns and we just used to alternate. I think if you did it every year, you would really weaken the plant.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, they do tend to recover really fast, don't they? I mean, it only takes like 3 days of having the box off them. But yeah, I think traditionally you're not supposed to do the same plant every year.
Right.
I don't know what everybody else thinks on that.
I've always thought that was the received wisdom, but we were looking at an article in The Guardian the other day about growing forced rhubarb, and the way they do it was incredible. They had these pictures of this warehouse completely full of rhubarb, and they harvest it by candlelight, so as not to, get the rhubarb going with the leaves and keeping all the sugar in the stems. And I imagine for something like that, you've got to have, that's a very permanent structure if you've got them in the warehouse. And I imagine they're there all the time, right? It's a perennial crop. I don't think you'd be able to bus in a load of crowns for 1 or 2 years and then move them all out, right? So maybe those guys do just do it every year. They're always forced. I don't know.
I've seen
Maybe they replace the crowns every few
on
years.
YouTube, JB, that's the thing. You know what I mean? You can have a look and you can see them, like you see all by, and the candles are like on little stalks or sticks, and they're all about like say 2 foot, 3 foot high, and it's just an eerie looking.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
they look really strange, don't they? It looks like coral.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, just like what Ian's saying there, like I think if you only do that first couple of pickings as forced, then you get the bucket off pretty quick, no problem. I don't think it would have problem recovering for the next year. I don't know how that would work in a warehouse though. Like, is the warehouse, does it become, I was going to say transparent, but that would be quite alien technology. Like,
Maybe they take the roof off.
Like big, yeah.
Well, the one,
Maybe they open the windows. I don't know.
the one I seen looked like an old shed. You know what I mean? Like a huge kind of shed, like with no facility to take roofs off or open windows or anything. So
That's often how they grow mushrooms. Mushroom growing looks very similar to that. I wonder if there's a bit of crossover there. They do similar kind of covered agriculture. Don't know.
Does forest rhubarb taste different?
Yes.
Oh,
Sweet as
Like
sugar.
completely
Super
different.
sweet.
Oh, okay.
The flavour and the texture are just completely different. They're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I
Can
did,
you
They're not
imagine
red.
how?
So
Can you
the
imagine how
stalks-
weird that would be walking around a warehouse by candlelight and all these alien like bits of rhubarb triffiting everywhere?
Yeah.
That'd be. It's like something out of what was it, The Last of Us? It would be very.
Oh,
See?
lovely show.
yeah. See, Chunky here wouldn't be frightened. He'd be sitting in the middle, just get Tony out of there for God's sake, man. He's bloody gotta get him
And
out of there.
the stalks don't turn red, correct?
No, they
sort of
do.
pink-
But they're a
pinky.
really pale pink, like
Okay.
almost pale pink. They're beautiful, and you can eat it raw. Like it's just so sweet.
Wow. Okay.
Wonderful.
This
Have
is
you got
all
any,
new.
Audrey, any rhubarb? Have you got any in, like crowns
I
in?
do. I have one that may not make it back. It was big and beautiful, and it unfortunately was slightly over harvested. And I'm not sure it's going to come back, so we're going to kind of wait and see.
Interesting.
I mean, now's the time if you're going to force it. It's a great time to kind of, and all it is stick a. I mean, I think I just stuck a plastic bin on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by the time, you forget, and it wasn't that long. You lift it off, and they've got these big long stems of like that. What you see, that blush pink. You
That's
think
just so beautiful.
Aye, bloody hell!
Well, I
yeah.
think this one rhubarb went through so much stress at the end of last year. I think I'll leave it for now, but if it does come back, I mean, it was quite a large, gorgeous plant.
Yeah.
I will do that next year. That'd be great to do.
The one that we found most successful in terms of covering it was, the bottomless compost Daleks. Where they've got, and then you've just got a lid on top
yes,
so you can check it
Yeah.
out. That was the one we found. Although I made a mistake one year, we'd borrowed one off somebody and it was like a pale green colour. And the light was obviously getting through. The old one we had been black, and it absolutely stopped the light. It was wonderful, but yeah, the pale green one didn't work.
So
Interesting.
I've only done it once, Jess. With one of them tubs that you're saying, they're quite up to say like chest height.
Yeah.
Do they keep on growing as well? Because I did notice mine were like really thin and long to the length of the bin. Will they just keep on trying to?
I don't think we ever got them to the very top of that bin, but I mean the stalks must have been like 2 foot. Really, they're really big.
Really?
Yeah, but also, if you think about how tender they are and how long and fragile they are, but inside that bin there's no wind, there's no nothing's touching them, so they can be really kind of spindly and not need the support.
Yeah, nice. Were they good eating all the way along?
Yeah.
I had it in mind that once they got a little bit long, they wouldn't be as nice. They'd go.
No, they
stayed.
stayed all the way up. Really nice.
So have you got rhubarb, JB?
Yeah, I've got a really massive plant in a really inconvenient place. It's and it's actually a bit annoying how good it is because I can't bring myself to get rid of it. But last year it was like Gunnera. This thing,
Yeah.
It was just like the only thing on my allotment that grows well as well. So it's like I can't bring myself to get rid of it. But I split it. I think at the start of February, I butchered it. Just drove in with a spade. I read afterwards you're meant to dig the whole thing out and then very carefully and precisely kind of cut away at it. I was just I get the spade in, cut it out. But I replanted a bit of the crown, and the bit I replanted is looking really healthy. It's just started coming back.
So now you're going to have 2 giant bits of
Once
Yeah.
the other one's established, then that means I can finally get rid of the other.
Oh,
big
right,
one. I just
right.
want to relocate it, right? I might keep 2 plants, and then if you have 2, you can always have one forced and let the other one kind of
Where's
recover and do it on rotation.
Where is it that's inconvenient for you?
So it was just when I took the plot on, it was in the middle of a little those square raised beds, the pallet collars. It was in a pallet collar, and just when I redesigned the plot and laid it all out, I wanted my beds nice and evenly spaced out
Exactly,
with nice
as you
paths
should,
in
yes.
between. And the rhubarb is right in the middle of one of those paths. So I just kind of left it there, built the beds around them, and was like, I'll come back to deal with this later. Which I think, in the grand scheme of things, was the right thing to do. But it is a bit annoying.
Is rhubarb not one of the ones though that are just like eternal and they never seem to kind of die off? Or are you good enough to kill it off, JB? Are you?
Yeah, I don't think it's like comfrey or something like that, but that becomes invasive. I think, you know, the roots, the crown is relatively easy to get rid of. I hope. I hope so. Anyway.
Yeah. We had one which was really. We had it for years and years and years, and we did repeatedly dig it out, and it stayed. But yeah, I mean, the best way I've found to kill them off is actually like bury them. Like the new one that we've got this year, it happens to be like I just dug a hole, like a circle for it out of the grass, and we've had a couple of times over the winter. It keeps getting covered up by various things digging in the bed, and it keeps getting covered up, and it really suffers from the damp on top of it, not the I found anyway, like not being smothered, the crown.
Right. So
Marian's...
are you forcing this year then, Jess, are you? Or No.
Marian's asking if the rhubarb should be in a sheltered space or in an open space.
Well, I tell you where mine is. Mine's at the front of me hut. Now, I would say it's sheltered, but we predominantly get winds from the west coming over, so it's kind of gets full on. And there was 2 crowns there, and I got them crowns from the same company that Plants Direct that did the polytunnel for us. Now, one struggled for years and I think it's just failed this year. But one took off and grows immense. You know what I mean? A bit like JB, it just grows and grows and grows, and it's a way. So I think that I wouldn't have thought of whether sheltered would matter anything to them. Do you know what I mean?
The best rhubarb I've seen grown is on a plot on our site, and it's just right out in the stark, like open, full sun. It's just in a real like flat barren bit of a plot, and it just is absolutely brilliant. So yeah.
Do they harvest it, Jess, or does it just get left each year?
They do. They've got a whole load of different varieties. They're really keen on rhubarb. So there's got like 6 different ones.
All right.
But yeah, they're right out and given loads of space around them. There's nothing crowding in on them. They've all got like a good meter around them to stay clear, and that seems to they really thrive on that.
Crumble, making us hungry. Crumble. Yeah. It's the crumble season.
Crumble.
JB, are you a good crumble maker, or have you made crumble? Or?
I am a completely average crumble maker, I would say. But crumble is so simple. It is one of the things I will do in the kitchen. It is one of the things that I'm like, yeah, I could make a crumble, and that won't cause me to have a mental breakdown about how long I've spent in the kitchen and all the other things I could have been doing with my time.
I'm guessing Jess and Audrey are crumble supremists.
I don't know about supremists. I've made a few in my day, yes. Yes.
Well, freeze some and send it over. Do you know what I mean? That'll be very nice. I'll certainly try it.
I'll freeze dry some, and we can put it in our coffee.
Oh God, I've forgotten about that.
Not again.
How about that? Yes, there's an idea.
What did you freeze dry to put in your coffee?
Pumpkin pie.
That's right, man.
Oh God, it was so horrible. It was so horrible. Yeah, I learned my lesson there.
It's grim.
Yeah.
Anybody pruning their autumn raspberries? Anybody got autumn raspberries? Now's the time to think about. I took all mine up, got rid of them. Took a year, mind you, because it was when everyone came to the plot. I got some kind people dug them up, and I think they've been taken. I think my brother-in-law's got them there now. I'd sent them up there,
nice.
And they were just, mind you. They are a tough old thing. They can last. Do you know what I mean? They were like just bare roots in a bucket, and they were growing again happily. You know what I mean? So, But if you're cutting back, now's the time. Raspberries. Anybody got raspberries?
I've just dug all mine out, but I had pruned them, and then I decided that actually no, we were going to start again. They've got some strange. They've been in that space for a really long time, and they were originally just dug out of somebody else's plot, not clandestine like they was given. But yeah, they had started. They were last couple of years. The raspberries had really like become less and less juicy and nice, and the plants themselves had some strange sort of mutation that they were growing up. You know how a raspberry grows? It's got quite like a long arching stem, and then the leaves are quite far spaced apart. These were growing quite dwarfed, and the leaves were really close together, like in like tiered shapes. So they almost looked like these sort of columns. And then whichever of the plants, it seemed like it was sort of slowly spreading among them. But I don't know whether it was one plant that was infected with whatever this was actually spreading the plant itself, because they fire up all over the place, or whether it was something catching that was spreading across the whole plant. But I looked it up a couple of times. I never found anything that really looked that similar to it. So
these were healthy raspberries that eventually turned short with lots of leaves, right?
Yeah, they sort of never really got going. I'd say probably the first bit that emerged like that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and we just cut it out, and the rest of them were fine. But then last year they were really poor all round. Like even the ones that weren't affected like that just had really kind of mealy small raspberries, and we don't know what variety they were anyway. So we have dug all of them out on that side, and then we're going to plant another patch just on the other side of the fruit cage. I'm going to do Joan J. I don't know if you know them. I asked around for any recommendations, and that one came up like consistently as recommended. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
And where are you getting them from, Jess? Are you?
I have ordered them from. I can't remember
Memory
now.
test.
Yeah, no, it's gone. So I ordered them ages ago, and then they're not going to be delivered until like spring. Which seems weird because you would have thought they would go in, earlier than that, but they're going to be delivered. I think he said April, so I can't remember where I ordered them from.
Right,
and I've only got 6 canes. It's really not a lot. So,
right.
Do they spread? Do they propagate?
Yeah. The only bits that I haven't been able to get out of the raspberries are, I don't know if you know what my fruit cage looks like. It's like a raised bed with a big cage kind of slotted inside it, and there's so many raspberries that are like in the edge, they're all like stuck in the metal and stuff. So like you were saying, Tony, it's going to take a couple of years to really get rid.
It was more like you would just notice like little suckers coming where you think, how's that happening? Because the root's not there. And the roots are gone. I've seen all the roots came out, but there was just like a little sucker, and you'd pull it and it'd be nothing, but it's it's like a little bit of a root, rhizole looking root.
But that is how they maintain their good quality, isn't it? They just like die out from the center, and they kind of spread further. But yeah, there was something wrong with these, and I would say the raspberries themselves, even at the beginning, weren't probably the best raspberries I've ever had. So we just thought we'll just go again.
I forget what mine were. I'm sure something like Autumn Blush or something. I don't know if that's a tomato.
There's Autumn Bliss.
That might be it, yes.
Yeah, that was another one that was recommended. It was like a toss-up between Joan J and Autumn Bliss. But I think Joan J doesn't have any thorns, like no prickles.
Right. These did. These had prickles. So
yeah.
North.
So do you think it took you 2 years to get rid of yours?
Yes, all told. They were dug out, and then I put like tomatoes in straight away, like that season, and there was the vines growing through the tomatoes, and once I took all the tomatoes out, I had to dig it all again. But I think this year there's nothing there now, so
brilliant.
That's pretty good.
That's 2 years. It's quite impressive.
Well, I mean, I can't take any credit for it. You know what I mean? It was one of the viewers kind of had to toil and sweat. You know what I mean, and kind of take them out. But again, it's just where I've been. I've been building that raised bed, and I've been standing in that kind of derelict garden. They're coming from another allotment under the tarmac footpath, and are all coming up there in this garden as well, you know. So
I mean, they're unbelievably resilient. That they really are quite an amazing plant, and they grow in the toughest conditions, and like they'll carry on fruiting, you know, like right underneath trees and all sorts. They're pretty good.
you got any JB? Any raspberry?
I really want some. Like soft fruit is still 5 years after I took on my allotment is still like the thing that I am yet to actually properly sort out. Maybe it'll be my next winter project. I don't have a single soft fruit on there. I've got there's 3 of the saddest gooseberry plants you've ever seen in your life, and other than that, there is nothing. And I didn't plant the gooseberries, so I can't take credit. Or the opposite of credit for those. They're not my fault, but I would really like to put up a proper fruit cage of some kind, and then have a few things going on. I do have a blackberry bush, actually. Sorry, go on, Jesse.
Yeah. Do you get any gooseberries off the gooseberries?
I think the pigeons might.
Yeah.
The one time I did have the gooseberries off them, they were really horrible, and they were just completely tart. They might just not have been ripe, which might have been why the pigeons hadn't eaten them yet. But that's kind of just like put me off, and I've never put the effort into actually protecting them. But one of them looks really poor. They all look a bit poorly. They all look a bit like not that great. They're all quite stunted and small.
Do you prune them, JB? Do you prune your... No?
No. Obviously not.
Obviously not.
They're so small, they definitely don't need pruning. They're like...
Because you prune from the inside, don't you?
They're like
prune
this
like
big.
the...
I don't know, Tony. Tell me all about it. How do you prune a gooseberry?
Prune, like, you take the middle out and you have the kind of the outside. I mean, I actually put some in, but I pulled them out. It was just... They got away from us, to be honest. I got annoyed with them.
I'm not very good with doing trials. You know, when you say at the beginning of the thing, you're like, right, I'm going to try this way, and this way, and then you actually come up with nothing at the end. Well, the only one that I did last year that I was quite like careful about documenting is I've got 4 gooseberries against the wall in the fruit cage. So they're like I say fan trained. That makes them sound really fancy. They're like 2D gooseberries because it makes them easier to pick. You know, you're not just getting ripped to shreds. And I'd been told 2 really like opposing ways of pruning them. I've got 2 red and 2 green, so I did one of each. Like the reds, I did one way and one way, and the other way. And unfortunately, I all 4 of them, the 2 that were the opposite ones, both fruited, and the other 2 didn't. So drew absolutely no conclusions from it whatsoever. But I'd been really careful about documenting it and like photographed the bits that I'd cut and everything, and it was nothing. So I think you can just hack them back and they'll be fine, is my conclusion.
Yeah, maybe I should give that a go. They are once again in a bit of an awkward place as well, and sort of not something I've had.
But you said you didn't put them in, no?
No, and they're right under this massive sour cherry tree that I also want to take out. They're sort of in... There's just a square of that plot that is just like, I don't really know. I haven't decided what I'm doing with it yet. It's a real like, one day I'll sort that out. It's on the bottom of the list. But it might be a nice area for like a fruit cage and a fruit area, but it might be a little bit small for that. I don't know. Yeah, that's a winter project.
Now, why don't you want to keep your sour cherry tree?
Well, Audrey, it's a lot of work. And it's really big, and it's not on a rootstock, and I think it's going to get scary big. Okay. And it's the same thing. So something about me that I've mentioned a few times. I hate faffing. Like, I absolutely cannot take faffing. And to protect soft fruit, you need a lot of protection, right? And to protect a tree, if you don't have a cage, you need to drape. You know, you either need a structure that you build or you drape, and draping over stuff is just like enough to give. I'm like hyperventilating thinking about it. It gives me conniptions, like it's just so stressful. And then like it blows away in a storm, and when it all rips when you try and get it back off at the end of the season, and half of the fruit is going to grow against the netting anyway, so stuff is going to get it. Birds might get caught on it. If it's a structure, you're much less likely to get birds caught on it. I could go on, like I'm almost going to. So it's one of those things that I've never properly sorted out, because it's one of those things that I would like to do properly and have a proper structure. And also, I don't really know what to do with a sour cherry itself. Like, I assume they're just for cooking. Can you cook sour cherries? What do you do with them?
You can kind of semi-dry them and put them in things.
Are they as nice as a normal cherry? I just assume.
No, they're the kinds you bake with.
Yeah, it's a totally different.
Oh.
It's more like the kind, if you get like sour cherries in a flapjack or something, it's that kind of sour cherry, like a cherry raisin.
A lot of people are saying it's good for jamming.
Oh,
maybe I will keep it.
Sour cherry jam.
Oh, and pie or
he's been forced
Crumble.
into keeping it now.
I do like cherry pie.
yeah. Oh, those are the cherries you want to use.
Interesting. Maybe I will keep it. It does also set out a lot of suckers, which is really annoying. So I'm not very fond of this tree, right? It's kind of like in the wrong place for me.
Well, you might if you have a really good pie from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had a cherry from it either, because of the birds and because it's not protected. It's one of those things where it's like, if I'd had some fruit, and it's like chicken and the egg, you have to protect it to get the fruit. But if I'd had the fruit and was like, oh my God, that's good, then I would protect it, So
Yeah.
it's a bit chicken and
Instead of like draping is a real pain in the ass. I know it's like that apricot tree. Sadly, it's not something I have to worry about anymore. But with what I did this year with all of those bits and pieces was, those like scrubber dub things that are netting, like that you use in the shower.
Yeah.
Yes. A big ball of netting. JB still doesn't know.
Carry on.
Like in the bath, it's like a little ball of net.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Just like a scrubber.
Yeah. Like a big...
Exactly what you said.
Yeah. If you cut the bit out of the middle, it's just a very long tube. And so you can cut it to length, and then you just slide it like a sleeve up the arm, and then at both ends, and then you've got it all protected, and you don't have to do the whole bit over the top. Works really well.
Mind-blowing. That is mind-blowing.
Jess, where did you get...
Have you ever put that in a video?
You know what I mean? Well, you're just sitting one night and think, you know what, I'm going to take the middle out of this and see where it leads
No,
us.
I tell you, it's being in the shower and the middle falls out, and then you're just left with this enormous noodle that's no good at all and just covered in soap. But because I didn't realise that they were actually a tube. And we did it last year we did it for the figs and the pears and the cherries, and it worked really well.
Interesting.
JB, there's your there. Because JB, you're saying you don't like faff. Bloody chilies, they're up there with the faffiest plant ever. You know what I mean? So
the only thing I would say about that is faffy about a chili, maybe harvesting. Harvesting can be a bit faffy, and also supporting. That is what I mean when I talk about faff. It's like lots of little bits and lots of little things. It's a job you can't do with gloves. That's what faffing is for me. If I was going to define faffing, when you've got supporting and you've got to tie lots of knots in things and go around things very dexterously, can't do it with gloves.
Oh,
that could have been an old-fashioned term as well, a faffer or something. What? Oh, I tell you what, we're on tomatoes now. Jess, look, I got garnet.
nice.
I got some garnet there, but I also wanted to give a little shout out to Ian there as well, grown locally. Very kindly sent me down a whole load, and I haven't as yet. And I'm going to guess JB hasn't picked any tomatoes yet. But if you're wanting some from Grown Local, Brandywine, and I tell you, if you can see me finger where that's a great the QR code just to go straight to the shop and like tells you everything about it. So we've also got, which I will be growing these ones, Black Moon.
Classic.
Now, I think Ian was one of the first to get these seeds, and then they've all the bloody seed companies have. Shout out if you're going to, any of these ones tickle your fancy, and I would like to grow these, the San Marzano.
Classic.
Anybody? Another classic there. Now, did I grow Tomade? I don't know if I grew that last year. Anybody?
Oh, Tamande.
Oh,
yeah, that's a
Right.
That's a classic one as well.
Yeah.
That's like a Marmande type.
Right.
It's good.
I did go to a garden centre, and buy one. Buy it all the stuff's in, and I forgot what it's called. Outdoor Girl. Now someone just says you've grown Outdoor Girl before.
I have. Yeah.
Any good or
No.
no?
No. The only reason I'm saying that wasn't as bad as it seemed. I'm just trying to remember back because somebody gave me Outdoor Girl seed because I was having a lot of trouble one season, and it's a really good one, like for outdoors because it's quite a short season. It fruits really fast.
Right.
What I was trying to remember was how prolific it was because I know the prolificness of them is like your key factor. Well, I can't remember, but I do remember thinking it was a good tomato.
Right. So it is. I know it's called Outdoor Girl. It's okay for outdoor, is it? Because these are the ones Crimson Crush I was going to put outside, but I might put them two outside.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know what your blight situation is like. I don't think it's blight resistant. I think its outdoor credentials is mainly because it doesn't need the heat. Like it can
Right.
go.
Hopefully.
Whereas the reason that I didn't grow them again, I think, is because I get blight really quite quickly on our site. So everything that grows outside has to be short season and blight resistant. But that's why I think it was quite a good tomato because I did think it was a good one.
Right. Rosella. Anyone
I
try?
like Rosella.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone. I'll put that to one side.
That was one of my favourites last year, for sure.
I don't think I grew that one last year. I know I did grow this one, Consuelo. I'm sure that's like a beef, a big one.
Yeah, it's got the really thin ribs.
Yes. What else is here? Oh, I've just shoved this in. Cucumber Carmen, because I got wrong off Ian last year. He sent them down. He says, they're a fortune, Tony. And I said, I'm not going to do them. I bought two from a garden centre. And he says, you realise how much cucumber seeds are? So I'm going to grow them Carmen this year, or you'll go mad. Burlesque. Anybody?
Yeah, I did that one last year. That's blight resistant.
Right. Were good or not? Or was it all right?
Well, I think they would have been fantastic if we'd had good sun because they produced loads of tomatoes, but they never went red.
Toddler is the last one. Now I grew this last year, and these were the ones that I grew down here in the kind of in the tubs or the trays or something, and I thought they weren't going to come, and then I got a great end of season there as well. So. There's a link to Ian's tomatoes as well. So if you need something, now's the time to start thinking. Jess, have you got your spreadsheet up to date? Is it all?
I haven't, but I was forced into doing a bit of a seed audit, I suppose. It's a rather fancy way of doing it because we had our first Richmond seed swap.
That's right. You mentioned that last week. Yes.
It was so successful. It was really, really good. It was brilliant. We had loads of people come. The council put it on their website as well, and on their newsletter. So it got really good spread. But I did put in a lot of tomato seeds because I've got so many, and there's no way that I can grow them all. So we had it set up so that all the different boxes had like the mainstay stuff in, and then we had like a specialty box at the end that had like the slightly more unusual stuff in it. So yeah, a lot of them went in there.
Where was it held?
It was held at the council chambers, but they've got a really beautiful room at the back. I don't even know if you can see the photos on here. It's in the vlog that that's coming out this afternoon. But like the room, can you see that?
Oh wow!
Yes.
It's a conservatory, so it's got a glass dome roof, and it's all these plants inside growing up and this fantastic floor, and then it opens out onto these gardens at the back onto the river, and it was really fantastic. But we had to be out of there like on the dot because there was a wedding happening in the room like straight after, so we were like sweeping the mud off the floor and everything. But it was so successful. It was really, really good.
Did you supply tea and coffee to the...
Yeah, we had tea, coffee, we had Welsh cakes and daffodils because it was on St David's Day, and our main guy who had organised it is Welsh, so that was it was good.
So
it was really nice.
I know that sounds... It's basically just half half-empty packets of seed?
Yeah, so initially, when I first arrived, I'd only brought stuff that was like whole seed packets and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got there, I realised that wasn't the name of the game. So Mum was coming an hour later, so I gave her a big old list of things to bring. So yeah, it was just like half-open stuff. And what we did was provide like reams and reams of the little brown envelopes and pencils, and so you could just go around and take as much as you wanted from all the different seed packets.
And it was more than just you and your mum there, like giving seeds away. I like to know
everybody. Yeah, no,
right.
People came with bags and bags and bags of seed. It was brilliant. It was a really good swap, and we were worried at the end, like halfway through, we were worried we were going to actually end up with more seed left than we kind of started out with. But no, eventually, like it worked out. But there's another seed swapping happening on the other side of Twickenham on the Sunday. So anything that we had left over went over to them. So it was good.
And Jess, now be honest, did you bring more home from other people?
I'm feeling pretty smug about this, actually. I only brought 2 seeds back with me.
Right.
Not 2 seeds, but 2 types of seed. One of them was a chili from Bhutan that Chris had brought back when he'd been on holiday. And what was the other thing? Oh, it's a brassica from Uganda, I think.
Right.
That somebody had saved. So, yeah. See how they work out.
Oh,
very cool. Very cool.
Excellent. Sounds brilliant.
There's going to be another one next year. I'm just telling you. It was get in early. So
no, I love that, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Kind of. Was there some tomatoes or anything like that just where you went, oh, they're taking them good ones, and I shouldn't have put them in. You know what I mean? Was there any of that kind of? I shouldn't have put those ones, for God's sake. They're my best bloody ones.
I made sure I kept a couple of everything that I was even slightly unsure if I was going to grow or not. But I was quite pleased because I had loads of the Sartre Relays left over, like the seed. So I managed to spread that across a lot of people. I'd say probably about 15 or so different people got some seed for that. So,
nice.
So I'm going to have 15 people like directly disappointed if they don't like that because I was bigging it up.
Mind you can understand where you say like time hasn't, you know what I mean, that would take a lot of just sorting out just your seeds itself. Never mind going to the thing and doing just well on you, good on you. Good. But one of the tomatoes that I want to get my hands on it, and I haven't yet. I was nearly tempted, but then you've got single packet of seeds. You've paid like $3.95 postage as well. Remember was it last year? Mortgage lifter.
Yes.
What a name.
I know. That's what I want to try and get a mortgage lifter seed.
I've got mortgage lifter. I think I can probably send you some. In fact,
should have went to the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at that. That was so quick.
I know.
It was right at the top. Quick. I don't know why.
I was going to say.
I'm going to be sorting through this for ages, and it was just sat there.
Right.
You've been alphabetizing.
Have you grown them then, Jess?
Yeah, these are the saved seed. I've reused the packet that was very kindly given, but these are the saved seed from last year's one.
I heard they were quite a nice flavoured one as well. So
they were decent. I was quite impressed with them.
Yeah. JB, is there any standout tomato for you that you kind of, like, say, a mortgage lifter for me was like, when actually Jess mentioned these garnet, I thought, I've went off the idea, Jess, of that Gardener's Delight. You've put us off, so I'm going to just class you've done it now. So I'm going to use, because if they're the nice flavour, then that's me big cherry one, you know what I mean, I'm going for. So, JB, have you got a special?
No, I said after we recorded last time that I would go and do my tomato seed order, and I did not. So I still need to do that. I'm going to do it today. But my top 5 last year were Paul Robeson, Lithium Sunset, Rosella, Black Cherry, and Black Moon. So they will probably all be almost 100% going in again this year. Really, really, really good. And it's just the problem with tomatoes is that you start looking at the seeds and they all just look so good, don't they? I think looking at tomato seed for me is like one of the most difficult things because I'm not too much. I'm actually quite restrained when it comes to seed purchases. I don't like going on a website and coming away with 10 different types of cucumber. I like having one or two, but tomatoes are my weakness. You can eat quite easily. I get to the end of a tomato shop.
But they're so beautiful. That's the thing.
Exactly.
They are just
They
so
just
lovely.
look so tasty. There's one here on NR Tomatoes called Blueberry Dessert, and it just looks amazing. They all do. They all look really, really good. So,
is it a little tiny one?
No, that's a big one. That's
is
a big
it?
one, like a small beefsteak. I would
There
say.
was one I saw this a couple of years ago now, and I didn't make a note of the name at the time, which is really not. And I'm sure it had something to do with blueberries, but it was a cherry, but a teeny tiny cherry. You know, the ones like the micro cherries, and they were almost black. Like they were really beautiful, and they tasted great. But I failed to take down the name. I was like, oh yeah, I'll remember that one. And
Yeah.
but it's
Rookie
not.
error.
It's obviously not blueberry dessert if that's a massive one.
I grew spoon tomatoes last year, one of those little micro things. Most annoying thing I've
I
ever
did
planted in my
too.
life.
That was faff.
I
bet
grew
that was
those
faff.
last year
that
too.
was fab. Yeah.
Have you grown them? Did you say, Audrey?
Yeah, I grew them last year as well. Because
Did you find them faff?
Oh, absolutely. But when they were coming out properly, they were a cute little cluster of the. So here I am envisioning them, on the side of a plate, looking so pretty. So I think I got 2 plates that looked pretty. They were not very prolific.
Tiny and
really?
not prolific.
They weren't, but I think
Mine-
I had them in the wrong space.
Mine went completely wild in the greenhouse, and I thought I kept relatively on top of them with the pruning, but they were just like sprouting out of every single corner and like every.
Oh, I would have loved that if they did. I think I had them in too much shade.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
It was entertaining, but I regretted growing them, to be honest, because they were just like. So it's so impossible to harvest as well. Like there's such a tiny little dainty fruit. And
Well, you really have to put the whole cluster in your mouth and just squish down on it, get the juice out, and say thank you for coming. Like,
Yeah,
you got to put the whole stem and everything in.
It didn't do
I
it
mean,
for
they
me.
were nice. I don't think I'm going to grow them again, but
Yeah.
The only small, like really annoying small thing I've ever grown was a chili that was a little tiny red triangle. I mean, it was like little fingernail size.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten what the green bit at the top escaped me. But that was almost bigger than the actual chili itself, and that was a faff. You couldn't do anything with it because you couldn't
it's all
cut
just
it
seeds.
it was really.
On those.
It's probably the only chili I've ever grown where I actually thought at the end of it that was not worth it at all.
Yeah,
and they just all went to waste.
The original capsicum looked like. That's like it in its natural
form. It had
form,
that
right?
feel about it. Like this is the original, and we've just got so much better from here.
Yeah, exactly.
Audrey, what was them tomatoes you once sent me? And they were a bush. They didn't grow up like a vine. Oh, no,
Principe Borghese.
Straight off.
Look at that.
They were a
How did I
one.
know? That was the one you were talking about.
I've got seed for that. I've never grown them though.
They're
Are they
the
good?
best sun-dried tomatoes you will ever make.
Oh,
Nah, they're still at the top of the box, though. You've got to hunt right through
Bloody
the bloody
not.
box now.
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Oh, they're perfect for sun drying.
Well, they were just, we never sun-dried them, Audrey, but they were lovely taste. Do you know what I mean? They were just like prolific as well. Do you know what I mean?
Because they're very sweet. So when when you dry them,
that's...
those are yummy, yummy. And they're dwarf, so they don't get too big.
Oh, these did, mind you.
So these would be good in a pot.
Yes, but
they would be a good,
Yeah, you have to support them because the trusses get so heavy. The branches have a hard time keeping up.
I'll be honest, Jess.
annoying.
They were like they grew up to my chest and just took over a quarter of the greenhouse. I put probably 4 plants in, and they were just, you know what I mean? They were like took over.
You were almost getting mad at them.
Yeah, sounds like me.
because they were so big, and you're like, you're taking over. I'm like,
Taking over.
that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, Audrey, they were like, when I look back, do you know what I mean, like, compared to say last year's, you know what I mean? I like took it for granted, and I was just grumpy because they were so good.
Yeah.
I look at last year and think, mother chucker, you know what I mean?
Did anybody successfully grow the atomic fusion?
Is that the bigger one of
This
the?
is supposed to be the stronger plant version
I didn't
of the
rate
Brad's
it, to be
Atomic.
honest. I mean, I didn't have. Last year was a bit kind of wobbly for me, anyways. But I did grow them. Was it last year or the year before? And I'd rather just stick with Brad's Atomic. My personal kind of shout.
Do you mean Brad's Atomic Grape, Tony?
Yeah.
Because the other one is Brad's Atomic Fusion. So they're both Brad's Atomic.
So you've got grape or fusion.
The Brad's Atomic Grape.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did try these last year, but I mean, I'm going to blame the crap year again, but they just never really, for something that was supposed to be such a, like, an improved actual plant, whether the tomatoes were or not, the plant was supposed to be so much more robust. I just didn't find it was.
Well, on that side, then I can remember. I think it's maybe just because Brad's Atomic Grape is such a feebly plant, anyways. But you do get a lovely, you know what I mean. It still comes through every year, a nice crop. That was a better plant, but I can't remember, to be honest, the actual, you know what I mean, if I was impressed with the fruit or not.
I didn't grow both, which was a bit of a mistake. It would have been good to see them both on the same year.
Compare 'em.
You know?
That's what I tried, but everyone in my comments said that neither my Brad's Atomic Grape or my Brad's Atomic Fusion looked like any of the Brad's Atomic plants. So it was a real, like, I have no idea what I've grown. They were kind of like adjacent. They were Brad's something. But yeah, I feel like maybe I should give them another go. But I wasn't really impressed with
different seed, maybe.
Yeah.
Because they are so distinctive. Like, even the plants themselves are quite distinctive. Like, yeah.
Any more tomato, Audrey? What is there? Any favorite tomato you are definitely
No,
growing
here's
this year?
my sad story. I'm going to tell you about tomatoes. I have a tendency, like at this time of year, when I think, oh, I've got everything I need, and then I go open up seed, catalogs and blah, blah, blah. So I had made an order or two, or maybe even three, of all these cherry tomatoes I wanted to try this year. Because I thought, I'm going to lean more into cherries this year. I have only a few pasta-related sauces that I need to put up. So I thought, I could buy those at the farmer's market if I didn't want to grow paste. Well, someone who will remain nameless closed down my browser, and
there's only the two of you living in the houses, though.
There's only two.
There's only two, so I'm guessing it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. So anyway, and apparently I had signed in to the orders, so they didn't come up. So I was just working on that right before this, and I was so frustrated because I don't think I wrote everything down. I was just so that's what I need to do this afternoon, is to
forgive first.
Oh,
forgive
that's
first.
over.
You know what I mean? Forgive
I've
first.
been married so long, a grudge is just stupid at this point.
But obviously,
just scrape it off your shoe and move on. Like,
just say those words I was calling don't mean anything.
But he does give me a nice wide berth if I, throw a few in his direction because I'm frustrated. But anyway, you're with someone long enough that whatever. But I need to recreate that. And I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because when you're in the moment and you're making all those decisions, like when you try and go back to it,
because it was
constantly trying to.
It was the perfect list.
Oh,
I know it was. How do you recreate perfection? I don't.
It's like when you choose like lucky dip on the lottery, and then you lose the page, and you've got to go back and get another lucky dip, and you just know that was the winning ticket. Like,
So Audrey,
Yeah.
you have got the get out of jail card free. So when we have a crappy year this year, you can at least say the ones I had on my browser. That was the
Yeah.
list. They would have.
Well, no. Here's the lesson I've learned: sign in immediately, so that if that happens, it goes in your cart and they save it for you. So I'm going to give myself at least half credit for that. I know better.
Nobody does that, mind you, Audrey, I'm sure. Because honestly, I'm just like, you just add it to your basket. I never sign in first.
I know,
basket, add to the
but
basket.
now I do.
Yeah.
Now you
Lesson
will,
learned. Now I sign in first.
I've had a few of those recently on like Screw Fix, where you've got a whole project, you've added like 20 things to your cart, and you come back to it the next day and it's all gone.
Empty. Yes.
And you do lose that kind of, what was it you just said, the momentum. It's just like, oh, can it be bothered? You know what I mean? You're in the you're an artist.
you're in the moment. Exactly.
Aren't you? It's like Michelangelo on the
And I
shopping
can't
cart.
even think of some of the names, and they were fabulous.
Oh,
And that's also the problem, is because your memory of it is going to be unreliable, but you're going to think constantly, there was this one that was, I'm sure it was such and such, and you'll never find it
Blueberry
because probably it doesn't
something.
exist.
Because I saw it in the bowl with all the beautiful cherries, and I thought, oh, this will be like the best part right here. The icing on the cake of the cherries. Yeah, what was it called? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd still be annoyed, Audrey. I'd still be annoyed.
I'm a bit. I won't say I'm not annoyed. I won't say that.
He'll be better be doing some positive things tonight for your meals made and everything. I'm telling you now.
Yes.
Yes. Well, listen, we are at the hour.
My goodness.
Top of the tree there.
Wow, that went quickly.
So, with a dirt grabber in hand, I would like to say, Audrey, where can we find you?
I am at Real Food Comes Dirty, YouTube, Instagram, and .com.
Very much, JB.
You can find me at Naturally JB on YouTube, Patreon, and Instagram. I should have a video coming out right after this.
Send
That
shivers down.
smug grin.
And we are looking
I love it. It's like my
forward.
time to shine. I love it. Radio mode.
Jess, where can we find you?
At Plot 37 on Instagram, YouTube, Substack, Patreon, and here.
Right. And don't forget, if you want to, you can see myself and Mark just easing ourselves into the weekend. Come along and join me on a Friday.
I have one word to say about that. Manscape.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
I had to look it up. The word.
Which made me feel better, because you don't strike me as a manscaper. So I was I thought, what are they talking about? So I'm glad you had to look it up.
It's that young Mark, man. He's dabbling in all sorts, man.
I'm telling you, I have a whole new thought process. Yeah.
Look after yourselves, everyone. Take good care.
So,
Do a bit.
Bye.